There's a darkness on the skyline by the road to who knows where, and no time to wait for answers because we are almost there. Through a lifetime filled with longing, searching for the master's hand, I have walked the unknown highway as a stranger in this land. Sometimes my heart was heavy and my footsteps heavy too, as I rounded all the corners in a constant search for you. There will come a song of greeting through the silent watching trees, and the beauty of the moment will bring many to their knees. Take my hand lest you wander, take my hand lest you stray. My other hand is taken by the one who leads the way. Bubbles break upon the sea, the wind from longing came to be before the stars were in the sky, and man was born to wonder why. I've been lost to know the feeling, I've been to the bending end, I've been back and forth between them, I've been where and I've been when. Let the little fish go by, not the big ones caught in nets. The ropes they wove for others, let fate tie them round their necks. Take my hand lest you wander, take my hand lest you stray. My other hand is taken by the one who leads the way. I hear you cry for freedom with a saddle in your hand, then laugh with understanding when they strap it to a man. Why is there a rainbow mist that curls around the shrine before this tapestry of dreams in the sepulchre of time? Softer than the breath of nymphs who sleep when day is done, God is like a light in crystal behind the curtains of the sun. Take my hand lest you wander, take my hand lest you stray. My other hand is taken by the one who leads the way. My other hand is taken by the one who leads the way.
The views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium.
And now, live from Chicago, here is the Black Knight of Talk Radio, James Arthur Yancic.
All right, we are back, and we are live. Feet to the fire. I'm your host, James Arthur Yancic, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. Year 21, I think it is. I've been missing in action for a while here. A lot of stuff has happened, and here I am. It's like I keep bouncing against the wall, and I keep bouncing back. Thank the Lord for that. I get requests often for less visible, a longtime friend, been on the show forever. I still have links to like the earliest stuff we've done. And I like to have them, especially during these times, because it's a little crazy out there. And he comes with a socio-spiritual, psychological, whatever, kind of a look at things, and calls it like it is, and I don't know. Things seem clearer when I hear him talk about it. So again, people have been requesting, and we have him back. Let me hit the button here so I can do this right, and bring in Les Visible. I think you're there, Les Viz.
Well, as far as I know.
Okay, I'm seeing buttons moving. So okay, glad to have you back, Les. I want to mention for a second. The last video I did actually was about our animals. We had as many cats. Now, you, Ron, the last time you were here, you had brought up and mentioned possibly if anybody felt moved to help us with all these cats. And your listeners were very generous. They sent items, and the Lord was very generous because I had written to many different places to help me with these cats, and there's 7 of them. Actually, there was 8, and somebody responded, and they took all of the cats, and they're treating them. They're fostering them out. There's been a couple adopted already. There were 3 pregnant cats. They're giving birth. They already had a couple of them. Went to the vet, and they were fixing them, and this place is like amazing. And I took the money that was given to me, and I donated it, passed it on to them, which way they were very appreciative because it was just amazing. They really loved the animals, and they're all working together for them. And I'm going to start crying in a minute because it was just so moving how they really wanted to. And it's like you say, when you leave it to the Lord and you put it out there, people help, the Lord helps, and here we are. So I want to thank you for bringing it up. I wasn't going to say anything. I was kind of lost in it, and it turns out your people and the divine moved everything to work out.
Yeah, God's like that.
Yeah, and we actually got a cat across the street, not related to us. They took that cat too, and it was pregnant.
Jesus.
So, anyway, that's a good start to our talk because the fruit of the Spirit, when people talk and their hearts are open and they do stuff, it's just amazing on there. And I'm bringing the title I came up with was Spring Has Sprung, and there's a lot of things springing out there, a lot of traps, cross traps, flowers, trees, a lot of stuff springing out there. So I kind of set that tone for you to comment on some of the things going on. I mean, it's wars, rumors of wars, and yet there's also some good things happening.
Well, I look at the whole situation like, you're in Chicago, that area, so you know about clover leaves, right? These highways that spin around, and in real life, which is different from the life that we ordinarily experience out there every day, but in real life, there are these highways. There are highways of consciousness. And everyone's on a highway. You could say they make their own roads, but many roads parallel with other roads, and they come into a common highway. And these highways are leading somewhere. And where they are leading is determined by your intention. Your intention determines the road you're on. And the level of your faith determines how far up the road you can see and how clearly you can see. So everyone in this case is different also. Well, in times of advanced materialism, as we have right now, more people are drawn to the downward road because that is the road that has to do with all this phenomena and appearances that surround all of us. They're false presentations. They're not real. But we get so accommodated to them that we begin to believe they're real, and lo and behold, they are. And so there's where it comes. You have faith in the world, or you have faith in God. They're not the same thing, although the world originally came from God for the purpose of demonstration. So as I say, you have these roads, and many people are on the downward incline because that is the nature of the times we're in, and they are not strong enough to struggle against the pull. And in many cases, that's the way they want to go. And so eventually they wind up at the wardrobe department on the moon again and get another body and have to come back and try again. And some of them do it hundreds of thousands, millions of times. That's not an exaggeration. Then there's another road that it loops. It just goes round and round in a circle, but it's a big circle. So by the time you've gone through this circle, and you could call that a lifetime, call it a cycling lifetime. By the time you've gone all the way through it and come back to where it started, you've forgotten all the territory you passed through, and you're off again. And then there's this other highway, and I like to look at it as a spiral, as opposed to this circle we were just on, conversationally speaking. And this is the upward incline. And this climb, this just goes and goes and goes. And what you see is a light. And the more you persist on this road, the more intense the light becomes. And as you proceed, the road you're on gets narrower and narrower too, because what is required of you becomes simpler, but more intense. And there are places on every one of these roads that will take you down. If that light gets too bright, you can't take it anymore for whatever your reasons may be. And on those other roads, there are roads that'll take you up. If the despair and trauma that you're experiencing has just gotten so great, you've just got to go somewhere else. And oftentimes that's why life is as hard as it is, because we're going in the wrong direction. And life is obliged to let us know. So it lets us know in increasingly more strenuous ways until we go, I'm out of here. I can't take this anymore. And you call that an epiphany, if you will. Everyone's on the road to Damascus. They just don't know it. And sooner or later, someone's going to appear and have a few words with them. And that's basically life in a simplistic presentation right there.
Well, then when you get that moment of that's it, I can't take it anymore. I mean, I would think that's a pretty crucial time, because you could go forward or you could fall off. You could, I guess you would die or pull out, or you can go back, or you can give up, or you can move forward. So that's like a crucible with a small opening, which is the right way. And I guess if one is in one of those cruxes, how does one find the right way?
Well, I mean, there's only one right way. Now, if I say that, a lot of people are going to go, no, there's a lot of methods, there's a lot of approaches. Now, look, we've got all these different religions right there. It'll tell you. Yeah, but you yourself are only in one of those religions, if you're in any of them. And for you yourself, you're either going to go toward the light, toward that which is freeing and opening, or you're going to go into denser, darker, hotter lands, because that's what happens when you move into matter and materialism. It gets more and more compressed and more dense, and you start to burn up. That is literally where hell comes from. So it's kind of easy to know about going the right way. You let the world drop off from you, because any burden you have, any weight you're carrying, is something you put on your own back. Okay. You picked it up. You decided you were going to carry it. And it's the same thing with all your relationships and everyone you know. You're carrying all these people with you too. You're carrying your ideas of them, which may not even be real. And after a while, and this is something that happens as you age, you start to crumble under the burden. It's why people bend over, okay? And they get burned out from the inside. And then they become a dry husk. They've had it here, and let's pull him out of there. And then back you go to the wardrobe department again. But as far as finding your way, well, you're not going to find your way without help. So you got to ask the one who helps, and that one is God. Now, you can't talk directly to God because that would burn you to a cinder. God is just so powerful, it's impossible to even approach. So God has step-down transformers, which we call angels. And depending on the level that you are at, depends on the elevation of the angel too, because not everybody's at the same, evolutionary point in terms of consciousness. And you have to cry out. Now, a lot of people will go, well, what if he's not there? Or no, I don't believe in God, or, who knows what yada, yada goes on in people's heads. Anyway, this is a fact. You can take this to the bank, any bank you wish. Let it be a literal, metaphorical, I don't really care. It can be something other than a bank. God is real. Now, this is a very profound thought. It's either a conversational device. You say, yeah, okay, God's real, sure. But where is he? What is he? Yada, yada. Again, none of that matters. Here is the only thing that matters. God is real, profoundly and absolutely. More real than everything you're experiencing, anything around you, anything you imagine. God is more real than that. And all that is real comes out of God. And as it hits these various filters and turnoffs, and as it descends into matter, it becomes less and less and less pure. Let's take a mountain stream. You got this beautiful spring on the top of a mountain, and it's just as pure as can be. And it starts running down the mountain, and it runs down into the valley, and it runs down into the town, and it starts getting polluted. And it keeps going, and it gets more and more and more polluted. It really depends on where you are, however far out you've gotten into the matter of the thing, to how polluted you are and your world is. You got to follow the stream back up to where it started. You turn around, you head toward the simplicity of the light, which itself is conscious intelligence and speaking all the time. And as you go, the call of the world and all the chatter of the world, it becomes more and more distant. You can't hear it as well anymore, and you start to hear something else. So you're either listening to the world, and that's where you're at now, or you've decided to shut the world off. That's what meditation and a lot of other disciplines are about. And you start going within. And as you do that, you get guidance, because you start to be able to hear this other world voice. It's not the voice of the world. It's the voice of God, speaking all the time. It's always there, but you can't hear him because you're not listening, or you're listening to something else. You got to turn the dial. You got to go to another frequency. Now you can think, well, this is really complex. How am I going to do this? How am I going to? Once again, God is real. Call out to him. God handles the details. It's not up to you. Oh, well, what do I do? And should I wear this funny hat? Or should I put these clothes on? Should I chant this strange language? I should write people that this person told me. Do I have to follow this particular catechism? That's not your concern. Your concern is only to know that God is real and to listen, to rely on God. That's it, period. God takes care of the details. It's our taking care, thinking we can take care of the details, that gets us in trouble. That's how we get in trouble, by meddling, by thinking we can fix something that we don't even know how it works in the first place.
Well, I can vouch for not knowing how it works in the first place. I also can vouch for trying to fix it, not knowing how to fix it. But the times that I have been helpless, where I've tried, right, and I got no answer, right, I'm hopeless, and I've literally said to myself, well, God, I can't do anything. It's like, it's up to you. It's almost like God goes, well, it's about time. You let me in here and do something, and then all of a sudden things just worked out. But it seems like I had to get to that point where I would let go, and I thought I would let go. But I have this thing about going, well, I should do something. It's my responsibility to do something, and so it may sound reasonable like I'm trying to be responsible, but it's that balance between doing your part when you need to do it, but letting God do his part.
We all think that we have let go many, many times. Oh, I've reached the end. I can't take it anymore. But yet there's that part of yourself you haven't let go of. And the reason for that is it's at the subconscious level. It's into a part of your automatic consciousness that you don't even really have access to unless you learn how to do this, and there are methods for that. But so it really requires the purification of God's love. When you decide you want to get back with God, you don't just all of a sudden waltz in and have a seat over there at God's table, okay? In order to come into God's presence, which in the sense of God's presence, we can't talk about God himself. We'll talk about the step-down transformers, into the company of angels. If you want to become a habitation of angels, you must go through a purification process. And this is a period of the most intense suffering. I don't know how to describe it. I've been through it. I'm still not out of it, but it's really tapered off, the suffering aspect, because I'm at the very far end now and it's just about to end. But this can't be avoided. And this is what stops a whole lot of people. They get into this purification situation. Oh, they were all gung-ho at first. God, please, I'll do whatever you ask, whatever changes are required. And God goes, well, okay, well, here's what's involved. So you start suffering because God is removing these things from you that are feeding on you and everyone else, these parasites. But see, these things are attached to you. So when they start to be pulled away from you, it hurts. It hurts because you're attached to them. You're attached to the very things that are destroying you. So if you could learn how to just let go, you wouldn't suffer. You wouldn't suffer even through the purification rites. But that's a rare soul that is capable of that, and one who surely did suffer in other times and lives. So what happens then is you start to begin to be purified, and it's painful as all get out because these things are being ripped free of you because you won't let go of them. But as you go along, you start to tumble to what's happening. You go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, you're taking that? I don't want that. So then what you decide is you decide to cut everything loose. And now you say, what, my family, everybody I love? Well, it doesn't actually work like that. This is where the mind gets all confused because people are giving everybody the wrong advice and everybody's speaking from a point of having no knowledge whatsoever about the situation. And that can be really unfortunate. When you cut something loose, that doesn't mean you stop loving it. It means you've entered into a state of divine detachment. You're not attached to them anymore, so it can't cause you to suffer. You love them impersonally. And this is the state you have to get to if you want to rise above suffering. And I always say, if you want an example of how to do it, look at the sun. The sun is the living truth in the sky every single day that tells you how to love impersonally and without attachment. And how does it do it? It shines on one and all. Okay, it doesn't decide, these are my good people here. These are the bad people over here. This is the good things that I do. These are the bad things. Well, they're not bad things because I'm doing them, in the arguments that people have in their heads. No, the sun is simplicity itself. All it does is shine, it radiates, it expels love, which is self-sustaining, obviously. Yeah, that's right. And so look at the sun, because there's this other thing that it says in the Bible, you must become as a little child. What the heck does that mean? It means stop thinking you know. Only your parents know, your father, if you see God as the mother, however it is that you see God, you can see God as a child, you can see God as a friend. That's how I see God. So it's up to any one person how they develop the relationship. But you just immerse yourself in it. You stop analyzing. You stop living, well, let's put it as it is, in a polar opposites world, a world of conflicting, antagonistic dualities. This is against that, which is against this, which is against that, and you're picking sides all the time. Just let it all go. Just love unreservedly. Take your cue from the sun. Become as a little child. Stop knowing everything because you don't know a thing. You don't know nothing. And once it dawns on you, and it has to dawn on you viscerally, it has to hit you viscerally. Once you've had this visceral experience, you can let go. You can, because your trust in God is so profound that nothing's going to happen to you except very, very good things. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no. I mean, it's been explained many different ways in many different kinds of scripture. To the extent that you can trust, to that extent you can rely. If your faith is spotty, if there's an uncertainty there, well, then that an amount of that is going to come in, and it's going to be spotty. It's going to be, it's a little okay here for a while. Wait, it's not so good. Right? Well, Lord, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And they start whining again. God is 100% with you all the time if you are 100% with God all the time. And I mean, God's still with you 100% of the time, but if you're not with God, then the connection isn't what it should be. Let's put it that way. But if you continue, if you stay on the mark, you'll get stronger, you'll get more connected, you get less hassle because you're more unshakable, you can't be budged. You are yourself as you are yourself. And everything else is going this way from it. It's like the truth. Anything that comes at the truth is consumed by the truth, because other than the truth, everything else is a lie. So everything else is combustible, flammable material, and God is the thing that ignites it. The truth consumes it. It's like love. Love turns everything into itself. All these things are very simple. You just have to practice them. And that's what people don't do. They go to church for an hour a week. They sit down and they pray for a little while because they feel like they have to pray. But when you seek God all the time, no matter what, when you need something, when you don't need something, when you're just absolutely seeking God in everything, something miraculous happens. And from there, you get no nary or words are really not sufficient.
We are visiting with Less Visible, who is giving us some commentary on how to get through these times. And speaking of these times, a lot of stuff's going on in the world. There's it's a lot of. I'm watching the stuff where Trump will say something pretty like he throws a cherry bomb in the middle of a crowd, and then they all react, and then he pulls back, and then they calm down. It seems like the goal here is to just upset the status quo here and have it settle. And right now, I mean the job that I'm in is in containers, import and export containers, and it's getting mighty thin because you got the trade war going on. And I'm just wondering how that's going to work out around the whole world, because the whole world is interlocked with all this stuff. And it seems like what Trump has done is made it so, do you want to go with the United States system, or do you want to go with China? That seems to be what's going on. I don't know. What's your take on all of this?
Well, first of all, I can't speak to Donald Trump, what his intentions are, what he's doing, or any of the rest of it, because I really don't know. Once again, for me, it all comes back to God, you see. President Trump is a player. The people opposing him are players. They're all actors on a stage. The stage and the plot is being handled by the director. I choose to be close to the director, so I have some idea what's going on. If I'm out here as an actor running around, in my own world, once again, taking care of the details because I know what I'm doing, well, it's going to be hit and miss. We're going to have times of feast and have times of famine. And I choose not to go that way. Yes, the world is in turmoil right now, and it's going to get much worse. But it's not going to get much worse everywhere. It's going to get much worse in certain locations where the people who have agreed to be there for it are gathered together, like all the people that decided to get on a particular airline one day and that airplane went down and crashed, or the people that went and got on the Titanic that day. Whoever was responsible for sinking it is beside the point. People cluster together according to ideologies, according to religious beliefs, according to sometimes agreements on certain common economic interests, like all the people that play the stock market or the people that work in various forms of business, okay? They're in that caste and they work from that angle. Then there are people who are artists, okay? And some of them are inspired and some of them are not. And they're all doing what it is that they do. But meanwhile, there is this entity who is entering the world right now and who is coming more and more into manifestation with every single day. And that is the avatar. It is the new world teacher who is coming. Well, his influence is already here. So his influence has reached through the world, and those people who are not resisting his influence are finding their lives improved, uplifted, and everything else. The people who are not in resonance with it are getting crazier and crazier and crazier and more out there because they're resisting what is. And so it's setting them spinning off like this, just spinning off. I try to compare the whole operation to a record on a turntable. You have the spindle, which is at the center, and then you have the rim that is the very far out part of the record. Well, near the spindle, you don't even notice that it's turning so much, you know? You're right there at the center where the action is all coming forward.
All right, well, I was waiting. I was looking for the magic button to go up to say extend the meeting, and it never came up. So sorry for the break, but we're back. You were talking about the spindle. As you get closer to the middle, it, you don't notice what's going on because you're close to the center.
Okay, I don't see you or myself, but this is okay. As long as you can hear me, it doesn't matter. The spindle and the record. Look at the world outside. Look at all the sexually dysfunctional people. Look at all the people that want to become a woman that can't be because they're not a woman. Look at the people that are dressing with dog masks on. Look at the people that are chasing young children. Look at the people that are in all these really bizarre sexual, dark fantasies, okay? These are people who started to gravitate away from the spindle. And the more they move away from the spindle, the more the centrifugal force of the turning record begins to pull on them. And they can't grab onto anything. And that is the problem because they're not anchored to anything. But let's say they grab onto someone else who's in the same state they're in. That doesn't help at all. They just keep sliding. And eventually you get to the rim and you spin off into the howling darkness. And that is what happens. And that is what happens when materialism takes over your life, when Mammon is giving you your marching orders. This is what you're looking at. I hate to be cut and dried about it. I hate to sound like in a way that is grim, but that's the facts, okay? And it's all a matter of actual science. You're either going to get closer to the spindle because inside of you is where the spindle is. There is a core there. It's a central location. It is the self. There's only one. And it's in every single one of us. Reach for that, seek it out, because indeed it's seeking you out right now, because that is what the avatar is doing. So he's coming here, and his influence, the influence of the divine spindle, is impacting off every living thing out here, every person. And you've got one or two things happening. People are either because they are spiritually inclined, they're going, oh yes, let me experience more of this love. Let me be more generous in my nature. Let me be more sharing and more caring. Or you got the ones who are resisting, and they resist in a lot of different ways. They resist mostly because it gets in their way. They're not getting to do what they want to do if they go this way, because this way is teaching selflessness. And this way is teaching you to let go of things and not to become attached and to be selfless and to serve and to be useful in whatever way you can as you go wherever you may be. No, they got their own personal trip going on and they need to protect it. And some of them are people with billions of dollars and they're all high finance. Some of them have the profile of millions and millions of people who are aware of them and adore them for whatever like gimmicky thing they do. They act in movies or they sing incoherent lyrics that you can't hear, covered up with all kinds of layers of sound. And people just think they're fantastic because they dress in hardly any clothes and they act lascivious and just as evil as they can get because they think that's cutting edge and they want you to really dig where they're coming from. And some people do. Lots of people do. And all of this really comes down to the very simple reality. Once again, you're resisting the force of divine love upon yourself, or you're in line with it. And however your resistance is coming, like I just said, it could be any of these various ways. But on the other end, if you're not resisting, that's just only one thing. You're relying on it. And if you're relying on it, that means you're not trying to fix everything and handle everything. It's taking care of the details. You don't have anything to worry about. All you've got to do is rely on God. What does that mean? I just go sit in a corner and meditate all day long? That's not really what's being implied here. What does that mean? That I just don't do anything? I don't have to work or anything because then God will take care of me? That's also not being implied here, okay? You get instructions. First of all, you're already doing something anyway. And unless it's harmful to other people, there's no reason why you shouldn't continue on. If you're in food service or you run a restaurant or you drive for Uber or something like that, you're performing a service. Do it as graciously as you can. Do it as politely as you can. Do it as caringly as you can and share that part of your loving self with everyone you contact, because every one of us affects everyone else in this whole world. Everything you come into contact with, you affect, because all of existence is vibrations. And how do we identify one thing from another? The vibrations vary, okay? And so it makes lead and gold, and me, and James Jancic. There's a vibration involved, but there's also this vibration of love that's in every one of us that we express differently. And some of us express at a very carnal and low level, and some of us express at a very high level. And the higher level you express it at, in other words, the less self-serving you are, the more you're just giving yourself away, the greater the reach, because the finer it is, so it interpenetrates everything else and it touches everything else. So if everyone you're touching, you're loving, and you're giving them this, this channeling of the divine within you directly toward them, not really calling attention to it. You don't have to, just doing it with everyone you meet, with everything you do. Here's a good example. In India, they have a system, a yogic system called Tantra. And it has two sides to it. You've got the Agora, the left-hand side, and that's dark, but that still is a way to find God. So they're very ingenious over there. Everything goes to God over there. Or there's the other Tantra, which is based upon the love nature. Now, a lot of people think Tantra is like, well, just have a lot of sex and be good at the sex. They only indirectly has anything to do with that. What Tantra teaches is to love everything you do or don't do it, to love everyone you meet, to when you eat lovingly and ingest it as if you were ingesting the very body of God. When you breathe in the Spirit of God and breathe out the Spirit of God. When you're thinking loving thoughts. And here's what happens. This love that you're experiencing in all these diverse ways is changing the vehicle that you're in, and your whole body and all your different bodies, your emotional, your mental, your physical body, all starts to hum at the same vibration, a vibration of love. And love is eternal. So it will make you immortal consciously if you continue to just keep giving yourself away. The moment you start grabbing for self, the moment you start isolating yourself away from everyone else, well, then you put yourself on the fast track to mortality, because all of these forms and images, they die. Everything is temporary in the realm of time. But if you live in an eternal verity, a certain reality of mind, where you're just giving yourself away all the time, like the sun, you'll live forever. You start doing that right now, you'll never die. But it takes quite a commitment, because few people are pulling it off. Now, what happens to these people that do it? How come we don't see them? How come because their vibration gets raised to such a rate that they are no longer perceptible by physical senses. That's why. Oh, they're still very much here, but there are people who do not taste death. Jesus Christ spoke of this very thing. Yeah. Well, I'll stop for a moment.
I got to push this button otherwise. I guess that when I look out into what's going on in the world, a lot of this stuff in my life anyway, all I can do is like compare like A, B, what was I, 10 years ago and so on. It seems like a lot of this stuff doesn't matter. I mean, I used to follow all this stuff. I did these shows, did 4-hour shows on Sunday. I'd have all these guests. I'd follow what's going on. And now I've just peeled off stuff doesn't matter to me. I mean, I was a big into investigating Planet X back in the day, or 2004 and so on.
Nibiru.
Yeah. I mean, I would go through this, and I have these guests on. I go, yeah, but what about this, and how come this, and all this stuff? That doesn't even matter to me anymore. I mean, it's a lot of this stuff just doesn't matter anymore. I seek peace now more than anything else. So, I mean, I could see the change in me, as crude as it may be, compared to a finer example, but it's true. It's true when you start to just peel away the other stuff, and it doesn't matter anymore. It does become lighter, and my problem is I keep picking it back up again to some degree.
Well, we develop grooves, okay? And these are like our little personality idiosyncrasies. In the process of living, we cut grooves in our consciousness, and we cut grooves in other people's consciousness, okay? And these grooves repeat themselves. Some of these grooves, like say you've got a good sense of discipline and you've learned how to control yourself, these are good grooves to be in. Cut them deeper. But there are these other grooves like, but those grooves are still there, and they're going to call to you and try to drop you back into that groove until you just cut it out entirely, which is why if you want to succeed, and you want to succeed rapidly, start doing what I'm talking about all the time. And as Krishna says, success is speedy for the energetic. The more time and attention you put into something, the more it's going to return upon you. If you go out and if you're playing the guitar, for instance, and you play for an hour a week, it might take you 100 years to learn how to play the thing halfway well. But let's say you play the thing 6-8 hours a day, every day. Well, within a year, you're going to usually you will be quite competent at playing the guitar. Now, all of these things, playing the guitar, the violin, singing, climbing mountains, raising a family, going to your job, having a vocation, having an avocation, these are all things the personality does. And I'm not going to knock them, because this is how people learn. This is how they live their lives in the process of learning the meaning of life, which can take a really long time if they're spending their time doing all these other things. But if you take all the time and attention you're putting into all those things, and you put it totally into just visualizing God in your consciousness, living in God's atmosphere, which is love. All you got to know about God is love. You don't need to know any more than that. God is love. And what happens with love is that love produces wisdom, because the more that you act in love, the wiser you become. And love and wisdom form a union, which produces truth. And that's the pyramid, the spiritual pyramid. All of us think, well, I have to know this, I have to know that. How many? Oh, okay, what's the next step in this seminar I'm taking? Oh, okay, how do I get to be a deacon now? Now I want to be an imam. Okay, I have to study the Quran. I got to learn all this scripture, minutia. It's all bullshit. I mean, yeah, it might be true for a moment here in this situation as applies to this situation. But you can learn all of these rules and you still could be a terrible person, or you can become a fundamentalist, which means you take this thing that was potentially beautiful and use it to punish other people with by making rules and punishing them for breaking the rules you made for them. Well, this is not the way to go. You don't have to worry about any of that. You just love God. And what happens, like with the tantric thing, you wind up loving every single thing you do, or you don't do it. You don't do it. You just love. And you don't love personally. You don't get involved in all these interpersonal games that go on between people where they trap each other and pull them down and fall out of love, and they wonder where the magic went. The magic in love comes when you set the other person free. That's how it comes. If you want to really love someone, set them free. Make them feel free. That's the magic. There it is. Now, if you can just do this, then all this wisdom and information is going to come to you anyway, because God is real and God is present. God sees what you're doing. He sees what every one of us is doing. He's living within us. He's looking through our eyes all the time. So if we get into the state of reliance with God, then this power, which is God, which is limitless, which can accomplish anything, which is unstoppable, and nothing can harm it, well, then that comes to be true of you, because you're living in it. You give up yourself and you gain the self. You give away your selfishness, and then the whole world belongs to you, because you're not attaching yourself to any of it. I mean, it gets a little tricky sometimes understanding it, but believe me, it's very real, just like God is.
Yeah, I hear you. Amen. I don't know. I don't have much to add to it. I mean, that's pretty much it. And it seems that you get off track, and then you wake up and get back on track, and that seems to be the idea, is that you stay on track more than you're off, and then
yes,
yeah, it gets going. In your columns a lot, though, you do a lot of commentary about things going on in the world. How do you view things like the Ukraine thing or Gaza and all? You look at these things which are being done, players on the stage doing this type of thing. You want to be coordinative director. How do you see these things, what they are doing and how they're playing out from, being near the director's chair?
Well, I don't have a dog in the fight. So I look at them as things as they are, because I don't have a vested interest. Therefore, I know Russia is completely in the right. Ukraine doesn't even count. Ukraine is simply the EU and the globalists, the deep state, the people who are trying to control the whole world, trying to hedge Russia in, destroy Russia, cut Russia up in chunks, and have BlackRock sell the parts off to everyone else. Okay, that's what's going on there. Russia will win. Not entirety of Europe couldn't touch Russia. Will kick all of their butts. Russia is being very generous and very kind with Ukraine, just hoping that this kind of works out. They could wipe them out in an instant. They're not doing that. Putin's a very smart, a very good man as far as I'm concerned. Sure, he's got some rough edges. I don't know the man, okay? But these other people, okay, let me see if I can give you a little insight here and there, should I possess any. Zelensky has to go. So you can count on Zelensky's days are numbered. He's going to be gone anytime. they'll either take him out or he'll just be disenfranchised, and Klitschko, whatever his name is, the mayor of Kiev, will take over because he's probably easier to work with. Now, Russia's being very generous, boy. They're just saying, their asks are small, but it's not enough. And Zelensky says, that's it. We're going to win this war. We don't care how many people's lives it costs. Now, okay, let's get into a more general atmosphere with all of this. The world is in a state of tension. The Israelis are genociding the Palestinians. They're murdering them and they're laughing about it, and they really don't care because they're the children of the devil. And that's a fact. But somebody's got to play that role. So it's all roles here on the planet, people playing these roles. For a long time, let's say at least for some several hundreds of years, these globalists, these deep state Satanists, who are not all just Israelis, and not all Israelis are bad either, but a good portion of them are. And at least let's just say they're misguided and going the wrong way. We'll try to be kind. There has been this cabal behind the scenes, backdoor people who are running everything. And they're a combination of the billionaires, the highly influential people, the bloodlines, the people that come up through, the Venusian bloodline or, the Carolingian bloodline, these various bloodlines. These are also a very important factor. They've had it their own way in the world for a long time. And the only reason that all this information is coming out about them right now, why there's all these struggles and why the climate change scam is going on, and why they're trying to poison the skies, and why they have been poisoning the food, and why they're trying to kill everybody with the vaccines, is because the power is shifting. They're losing their grip. They can't talk about it, and you're not hearing this from them, but they know, because this is something they would know. They're losing their grip. And now they're trying to do everything they can, which means no matter what it takes to stay in command. But they're not going to be able to. They're tumbling, they're crumbling right now. All of them. Their days are numbered, because as the avatar comes more and more in, this world teacher, the one who came, Christ who came in Piscean age, the one who's coming now, the Kalki, the Madhi, Maitreya, whichever it turns out to be, but it'll be all of them. As he comes into manifestation, he is manifesting in every human mind. And those resisting are going to self-immolate. They're going to destroy themselves one way or another. And that doesn't matter if they're a billionaire, and it doesn't matter if they're the guy in the street. They are going to destroy themselves. The avatars, they may have to be involved. Then there are these others who have a commonality with the avatar, who have a resonance, who the love in their heart is real. They are going to be lifted up out of this, and they are going to be the players in the new age that's coming, because they'll be in line and in sync, and they'll get the good roles, and however the case works, or they'll just be out of it altogether, which many of them will be. But no matter what, see, it doesn't matter what these countries are doing. I know what you're asking me, but none of that matters. What matters is day by day, the power of the avatar is increasing. And day by day, everyone, rich and poor, who is resisting is being driven insane. You see it out there. You look everywhere you are, there things they're saying, the things they're doing, and they're all being exposed because this awareness is waking up in the human mind. So everybody's starting to see them for what they are. It's like this thing with Israel. They thought they had it knocked, okay? But where Israel's power comes from, outside of being practicing Satanists, and sacrificing people to this demon that gets fed and that gives them power, whose days are also numbered, they are in banking. And they got their hands on everyone's bank account, and they got their hands on all the wealth in the world. So anybody who wants to do anything here has to get their permission, because they can't get any more capital otherwise. And then there's all these other people who get their capital from them who aren't going to do business with you because they won't get any more capital, you see. But this is all eroding now. It's all falling away. They thought they could just genocide the Palestinians with impunity. Now they have turned the whole world against them. Their days are numbered. Israel will not exist much longer. And that's just a fact. And all of these countries that are doing this or that are abusing their populations, those people in the government, they're being driven crazy. So they're all going to spin out in different ways. Like, look at that guy that was masturbating on the TV. I forget his name now. He was on CNN, I think, or something. And then there's other people acting out or getting caught doing insane stuff, destroying themselves. Well, the really rich and the really powerful are more resistant to this than the rest of us, but they can only hold out so long either. And they're being driven to the rim. All of these things are being driven to the rim by the spindle because the time has come for change. For hundreds of years now, certain groups of people that I was mentioning, they've been in control of the business of manifest existence, but now they're losing their grip. They just don't have the power anymore, and it's leaving them, and they can't stand it. So out of the ashes of this changing and transforming world is going to come a new civilization. And that's what we're waiting on. As far as the wars and what might happen here, everybody going to get blown up. I don't know. Some people will get blown up, that I can tell you. There'll probably be famine in certain places. There'll probably be terrible natural disasters, some of them generated, some of them natural. It's all in the hands of God. So, but everybody's destiny, every little destiny is being handled according to its relationship to the spindle. If you want to get right with God, then you're going to be okay. If you don't, you're going to be driven more and more insane. There's only two ways to go: sane or crazy. The more sane you come, the closer you come to God and to the spindle, the more your life comes into order. Don't worry about what the rest of the world's doing. It's not going to touch you. If God is for me, who can be against me? Greater is he that is in me, that is in the world, okay? If the whole world came against me and God was in me, the whole world couldn't do a thing. The whole world would have to back off. That's how great the power of God is. Now, I'm not running out starting fights in the world, okay, and say, come on, I can take you. I'm not doing that kind of thing. But they can't take me. See, they can't even approach. It just doesn't occur to them. They start to think about it. They go, oh, we better do something about that. Hey, what? What's going on? They lose, you see, because God's in every human mind. And God will only let you do so many things. He won't let you hurt his children and his friends. No, he's not going to do that. Now, if you've got a certain kind of karma or something and something's got to happen to you, this I cannot answer for. But then you better get right with God very quickly before it happens.
Yeah, I was, when you're talking about going crazy and all this stuff, one of the things that just surprised me the other day was Klaus resigning from the
there you go,
WAF.
right there.
You got that, and you have, in Illinois, we have one of the worst senators there is, Dick Durbin. He's not running for re-election. He's not going for re-election.
Mm-hmm.
And it's surprising. These people are just, it's like the CEOs are leaving. A lot of places, they're taking their money and running. It seems like they're all running from the what's to come.
Let me tell you what the angel of God has told me about that, okay? I am coming into their minds. I am speaking to every one of them. I am telling them what's going to happen if they don't back off, if they don't change their ways. And I hear this a lot. Every one of them is hearing it. They may not be talking about it. They may not be saying anything, but they're hearing me. And I'm going to be stronger and stronger and more insistent and more persistent till they will just not be able to, hold it together. And that's what you're looking at here. And Klaus now finds out that lawsuits are coming at him because he's been stealing money and doing so. They're all getting it. They're all getting hung out to dry. Just watch.
I kind of look at how the wall fell, Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
You would think there'd be a war to bust it down and all this stuff, and it just crumbled. And literally the Eastern army is looking at each other, going like, "What do we do? I don't know." And the people came through, and they're like, "Do we shoot them? Do we not shoot them?" Nobody. And it just kind of just happened, like in that movie V for Vendetta, when they were actually, when the So, I mean, I'm kind of thinking that maybe that's kind of a model of what's happening. It's
You're
going to
exactly right. That
kind
is
of
what's
go out in a whimper rather than a big bang, but it's going to get really noisy up to that point and then kind of dissolve. If I could look at it in those terms, what's happened in the past, and they kind of correlate.
Mm.
And so, like every day, I'm reading the certain news feeds I get, and I'm waiting to see. There's more surprises coming. This person's leaving. This one's being charged now. They're starting to charge people for the fraud that was a big joke before, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I do pray for the people who are working for God, and I know. It's funny. You pray to God and say, help these people, and it's like, well, God knows that, right? But there still seems to be something about praying for them, even though that, I don't know how that works out, but it's always good to do that. So I continue.
If you pray for other people, your prayers will be answered. That's one of the main criteria. If you pray for yourself, you go into a holding pattern, so to speak. Okay. Depends on what kind of cachet you got with the man and what you're asking for. But if you're praying for others, it definitely has an impact. And then it is measured according to your faith. It depends on how much faith you got. It's just like Christ said, if you had enough faith, you could tell that mountain to throw itself in the sea and it would. Okay. Oh, yes, there are people who can do that. Your faith has to, but why would you? I mean, that would be my question. But there are things you can pray for. I've had it happen. I prayed for people and they've been cured of, fatal diseases. I mean, just maybe not have been me, but it happened. And it's happened a number of times that I know of. And I prayed for all kinds of people and I have seen it happen. Maybe they were praying too. Maybe someone else is praying for them. I don't know. I don't take any credit for anything, but I have seen the results. And so I definitely pray for other people.
My own personal self, when I was in the hospital, I was bleeding from my colon, right, and I was worried. They were looking like I might have surgery, which is very unpleasant. So I was praying for that, but then I accepted it. I said, well, whatever it's going to be, I'll get through it for you. But I was praying for this other guy who's been there for like 7 days, 10 days longer than me. And they were just talking, the doctors were talking to me. I went, well, I don't think we're going to have the surgery. And I prayed for him that same night. I had a long night of prayer, right? So when I got, in the morning came by, all of a sudden I stopped bleeding. I didn't realize it, right? And then they said, hey, the other guy stopped bleeding too. And I just started to cry. I'm even getting...
111.
Because it was like, I don't know, I just prayed for him.
Yes.
And I know it works.
Yes.
Whenever I feel divine coming close to me, I kind of lose it. It's overwhelming. So
that's good. If you can be overwhelmed by that, nothing better than that. But say you're overwhelmed by lust or overwhelmed by consummate greed or overwhelmed with a desire to hurt someone else or overwhelmed with anger that you can't control, well, that's a different kind of overwhelmed. So if you're going to be overwhelmed by love or compassion, hey, what could be better than that? Hopefully it'll overwhelm you entirely and you'll completely forget yourself, because then God lives through you. We are a barrier to God. We block God with our personalities, okay? If we put our personality aside, if we can become divinely impersonal, God will speak right through us. God will live his life in ours. God will eat in our bodies. God will sleep when we sleep. God will travel with us where we go. God will be in everyone we speak to because God already is. So you can speak to the God in people, or you can stir up the devil in them. People do, don't they? They cause people to want to kill them, to fight them, to scream at them. They stirred them up. Well, I don't work that way, okay? I speak to the God in them, and the God in them hears me, okay? And the God in them responds. And the next thing you know, you got two people doing it, okay? And sometimes people start doing it and don't know that they're doing it, okay? Because you enter into a conspiracy with the God in them, but they haven't been told, okay? So, yeah, it works like that.
It is pretty. So if I can get into that frame of mind or lack of mind, however you want to put it, it seems like that when I'm in that state or whatever, it's like everything. I can't explain it. You're like detached from everything, but you're still aware of everything. I don't know. I can't explain it. I mean, I'm sure you know what I mean, but
Yes, you're connected to the spindle and everything else is spinning around you, but you're only connected to one thing. You're connected to the thing because God is real. Everything else is relatively real. So it's not connected to you. It's out there spinning around. If you attach to it, it's going to hurt you because at some point it's going to be removed. Don't attach to anything. Love unreservedly, walk freely amidst the turmoil of the world, and just don't connect yourself to anything except the love in your heart. Everything else will take care of itself. This is what I've found to be true.
it's just, I guess the idea is getting to that state where that's more of a normal state than a transient state.
Keep doing it.
Like keep playing the guitar.
Yeah. Or do it more. Look, we give so much time to this. We give so much time to that. Okay. We like doing this, so we do it more. We don't like doing that, but we have to do that. Why not love everything you do? I mean, I go into the kitchen, I do dishes at night. I'm as happy as could be. I don't mind. I don't mind anything that I do, otherwise I wouldn't do it. But everything I do, I realize I'm serving God. I'm washing God's dishes. I'm taking care of something God wants me to do. So all of it fulfills me. It makes me just as happy as can be because you become like a little child. Your father sees to all your needs. You don't have to see to your needs. And if you're lacking something or a specter comes up or some kind of a shadow comes, it's just a shadow. Oh, you're going to leave the safe place with your father and go join up with the shadow because your fear links you to the shadow? That's not a good idea. It's just a shadow to pay attention to it. Things always work out. They don't always work out the way we want them to, but they always work out. And the more closer you get to God, the more they work out fabulously. They work out really, really well all the time. And it doesn't take so much pain for God to nudge you into position anymore. See, this is another problem for people. When you get out of whack, God has to put you back in whack. And if you get really, really out of whack, then putting you back into whack, it might hurt considerably. But if you seldom ever get out of whack, and if you do get a lot of whack, but God just eases you back in. He just very gently moves you back. Because it doesn't take that much effort because you're doing your best and you're staying close to the spindle. So there's no need to hurt you. He just really, when he hurts you, he's saving your life anyway, or more importantly, your soul.
Yeah, no, I want to take a second. I'm trying to keep track of the time here so we don't get cut off. But I want to take a second to talk about your CDs you've been doing. The song we heard earlier has not been released yet, but it's coming up on your CDs.
Yeah,
and they're quite good. I mean, the way you're working with it, and is it Bandcamp? Is that the best way people can get these?
My music site is at Bandcamp. Yeah.
Yeah, I have it up on the screen now.
Yeah. And each week we're releasing a new album. So we released 6 now, I think, and I recorded 2 more that haven't been released. And then I recorded 8 more in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I've got like 16 albums that will be appearing there on each one with 10 songs. So it's been a pretty rapid way of working. And this system I use is remarkable. I'm a poet, so words flow effortlessly from me, okay? And because I love God, a lot of what I write has to do with that relationship. And because I love God, God inspires me. And God, by inspiring me, causes me to be able to write in the way that I do, in the fashion that I write. So now I have found an AI program that gives me all these variations. And if I'm guided or intelligent enough to find the right variations, because there's thousands of them, the ones that suit my lyrics, then that's 2/3 of the way. And then it assigns me a vocalist who then sings my songs. Now, I would sing them, and I put out, I guess, 13, 14 albums that I sang on, but I've gotten older and I can't sing like I used to be able to. I mean, I could sing like this if I wanted to, but yeah, but I'd rather not sing like that. The sweetness is gone from my voice. That's okay. No big deal. So that will, it may come back. You never know, because the road I'm on, anything's possible. Anything could happen, and probably will. I mean, as long as it's good. So,
I mean, what's good about it is when I heard this stuff, I had no clue that it wasn't a real person singing.
You
I knew it wasn't you, but I thought somebody you hooked up with people who were doing your stuff.
Let's think of it like
quite
that.
Impressed. I'm quite
yes,
impressed.
It came out well. So I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
You haven't heard the other stuff, but I did one album that's all blues. I just finished one that's all reggae. I'm going to do a jazz one next, I think. So country, I've covered just about every genre I'm going to cover. And I've got a song for, at least 10 or 12 songs in every genre. And from Sunday night to Thursday night on Substack, where I have a site, I put up a song every evening, a new song. And then the next day, I put the song on the blog post. And so on my Substack place, you can hear every one of the songs that I've done just about with, maybe there's a dozen. There we are. Okay, I'll finish up what I was saying about that. I mean, God, for all I know, might have cut me off because I was talking about the music. But anyway, the people should go to Substack if they want to hear the music, because every other post is a song. There's a blog post, then there's a song. There's a blog post, and there'll be a song up tonight. And that's one way to hear all the songs free, because I don't really charge for any of this anyway. I mean, you can buy the albums at band, wherever that is, but it's a minimal, cost. It's just a moment here. It's at, well, I think if you just went to Less Visible and put that in at Substack, you would find me. But it says here, Less Visible 322755 substack.com. That's Less Visible 322755 substack.com. Call right away.
There you go. Reminds me of those old car racing things from the 70s. Great ones, run, and they would do all these things. All right, so I will update my files so to have that in there to make sure on it and check that out. So I do appreciate you coming by and spending some time. It's always good to see you. I always feel wonderful. And the people love you. I get email, when's Les coming on? And it's been my fault. I've been having a lot of stuff coming on here, but hopefully
I understand.
Hopefully things are turning around. I mean, I'm me turning around, not the things. And so, but again, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you reading your stuff, writing your blogs and all that. It's good to be you're a witness. You're like, I don't know if you're one of the two witnesses, but you're at least a witness to what's going on. And I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you very much as well, James. I'm not saying that. I mean, you are the only broadcast I appear on. I could be a lot more out there than I am. I have no real desire to do that. But you're an old friend, and you like me to be on here and talk with you, and I'm willing to do that. But otherwise, I live a very retiring life unto myself. I don't spend a lot of time in the public view. And as I say, I could, but then it gets diluted, it gets watered down, or there I am. The next thing I'm pushing a personality, and I'm literally no one. Why should I do that?
And
if God wants something to happen with me, He'll take care of it.
Your name says it all.
Yeah, exactly. Speak which, yes. Well, I changed it. It's been years now since anyone has called me less anyway. Everybody calls me Visible or Viz. Yeah. And that's been for like 30 years now, but I don't mention it to people because I just want them to be comfortable calling me whatever they want.
I remember about your name, somebody was saying that was not your legal name. And I remember you sending
Yes,
me.
it is.
Yeah. You sent me a German medical bill.
Right.
That they were billing you for services, and I had put it out or something at your request, showing that that's your name. But all right, well, I'm gonna trim this down here, and I appreciate it again, and God bless you. Thank you, and we will see you again. I mean, probably in a few weeks if I get my act together. I have a couple other guests I'm going to work on, so I got to get myself back in the swing of things. This is what I love to do here. I mean, if I didn't have to actually go out in the world and work, I'd be doing this.
Yes. Well, that may change for you, and you might get to do that. We shall see.
Yeah.
A little prayer might affect just that. I wanted to say before we go, yeah, I'm available to you. So, it's a pleasure to talk about God and with someone who's actually listening. In this world that's problematic these days, and you just let me know, and
I'll try and give you more notice. I mean, usually what happens is I'm in this whirlwind and I reach out to do the show with short notice. So I appreciate you being, pretty good with that with me too. So
yeah,
I'll try to work it out. So, all right, Viz.
Yeah, there you go.
I said I've known you long enough, so I gotta, I've been still doing listening. But God bless you and thank you very much.
God bless you, and God bless everyone who's watching and listening. May God profoundly bless and change your life if it needs changing.